Hey there, this is Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, and I'm going to talk to you today about Scorpios, the esoteric meaning of the sign of Scorpio. This would be relevant to you if you have sun sign in Scorpio, moon sign in Scorpio, excuse me, a Scorpio rising, Scorpio ascendant, same thing. If you have a lot of planets near the planet Pluto in your chart, or Pluto's angling your sun, your moon, or there's some sort of major energy from Pluto on the ascendant, something like that. Or you have a lot of planets in the 8th house of your chart, which is Scorpio's house. You relate to this information. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm intimidated a bit to talk to you guys, to talk to the Scorpios about Scorpios. It's so deep and I don't have much time. So pardon me if it's a little jumbled, or there's a lot of deep stuff I want to say. Of course, the Scorpios, it's got to be deep, right? One of the sources that could be interesting if you're a student of esoteric astrology, if you've read this book here, The Labors of Hercules, which is by Alice Bailey, or Esoteric Astrology, which is a little more intimidating, by Alice Bailey. But just The Labors of Hercules is interesting. It has a myth for each astrology sign. And for Scorpio, because the myth of Hercules is to become a spiritual master, he had 12 labors, and they're associating each of the labors with a sign. That for Scorpio, it was about the Hydra, which is an 8-headed sea monster kind of thing. And in the myth, Hercules he tries to kill the Hydra by cutting the head off, cutting another head, and another, part of the myth, the Greek myth, is that when you chop one of the heads of the Hydra, 8 more come out where that one was, and now you've got multiples of 8s, and it just keeps going. Finally, how he's wrestling with this monster in the swamp, in this bog, and finally he gets the intuition to get down on his knees in the mud, and he raises the Hydra up to the sky, and then the Hydra is killed. And so part of the myth, I just want to read you a little bit about, because probably if you're Scorpio will relate to some of that as long as Hercules fought in the bog, amid the mud, slime, and quicksand, he was unable to overcome the Hydra. He had to raise the monster into the air, which means that he had to translate his problem into another dimension in order to save it. And if I can read you this too, Hercules invokes a brighter light than the analyzing mind. He seeks to raise his problem to a higher dimension, not to stir endlessly in the slough of the subconscious. He needs to see his dilemma, in the light of the wisdom of the soul, and then he can confront it from a new angle of vision and eventually subdue the beast. So on one level, Scorpio, if you think about the symbol of the scorpion, is that you're going in the mud and all this and the subconscious and your problems and the intensity and the pain, But one of the other symbols, of course, you probably know the symbol of the phoenix rising out from the ashes is a symbol for Scorpio, the triumphing and overcoming. But there's also a symbol of the eagle, being a symbol for Scorpio, of looking over the problem. You can be so in it, like Hercules wrestling with the angst and the oh God, and getting an identity from the struggle in the mud when you're the scorpion type of Scorpio. Or you can be the eagle, which has that mountain view of the problem, can get a higher information from the higher consciousness, from the soul, to be able to solve your problems and solve the problems of others, because Scorpio is so much about developing the intuition. So this idea of Hercules lifting the Hydra up is saying you're in that higher consciousness, but there's also an element of humility. There's the part of the myth, excuse me, of Hercules kneeling in the mud and humbling himself to be able to receive that spiritual help. There's something, Scorpios have a lot of problem receiving help. That could be help from a friend. A lot of times Scorpios don't want to let someone know they're even having a problem. It's going to make them seem weak and all this. So part of the life story and spiritual evolution of Scorpio is to trust others, to let them in on your pain, that it's not shameful, that another person could give you insight, could be part of that. Lifting the Hydra up could be that surrender to let your problems be known to another. or it could be even surrendering to God or to the universe or to your spiritual helpers and say, I need help. So if you think of the opposite of Scorpio as Taurus, and Taurus is about my stuff, my things, my identity. Scorpio is the opposite. It's our stuff, our energy. That could be other people's money Scorpio represents with, taxes, inheritances, all that stuff you hear about with Scorpio. But it's also collective energy. That Scorpio is nothing. It doesn't evolve without blending with energies. Blending with the energy of the soul, blending with the energies of others around you, letting people in, because that intimacy and trust and breaking down the walls is so important for Scorpio. You're not less than if you do that. You are more than, which doesn't mean you become weak. Scorpio seems to see it as weak rather than you're gaining assets from people, the wisdom, the love, the higher energy of your soul. So being able to ask for help spiritually, ask for help from friends, whatever, family, and add to your strength. It doesn't deplete your strength. So that's an important thing I want to say. Forgiveness is always important for Scorpio. Forgiving yourself your own weaknesses, or Scorpio is so much about loyalty and stubbornness and stuff, and that can be loyalty to an emotion. It's just how I feel, and these people wronged me, and I was never good about this thing. I'm never going to forgive myself. Being able to meditate, to let go, and to let, again, even that can be seen as the Hydra, the hate or the compulsion to think mean things about yourself or dwell in the past. That can be something you're kneeling into the mud and surrender and let the universe heal that and bring you out of the pride, the fierce pride of resentment, or again, especially resentment at yourself, to let that go and to be raised out of those difficulties emotionally, so you don't have to be loyal to those lower emotions or lower people or whatever it is you want to move up and evolve in your life. Let's see, I've got some notes here. I don't want to miss anything. Aloneness. I wrote down that Scorpio seems to have a lot of pride in feeling alone and being alone, and that, the life experience is I had a Scorpio friend who said, when it comes down to it, you're born alone and you die alone, and no one has that experience with you. And it's like, well, it's kind of true, but the point of Scorpio is to, you're born alone and you feel isolated, but then you hopefully leave your body not feeling as isolated. And again, that can be some sort of pride. I'm going to my grave by myself. It's like, wait, why? Why are you not united in the sense of spiritual help? So this idea of, yes, you're traveling through the world alone. You're going in a way, you're taking the actions that make your soul grow alone. But there's help. There's cheerleaders. There's just empowerment. So even though you're taking the steps by yourself, you're not truly alone. So there's that kind of duality of thinking there, or paradox. Yeah, you're alone in your own skin, but you learn to have this expanded sense of self that allows for other higher energies to empower you. One thing I want to say too about Scorpio that I find a big gift for Scorpio is that you're not afraid of intensity. You can be by someone's bedside when they're dying. You can help people in major trauma who've had major situations and help them see how this is a transition in life and it's not the end of things. It's not ruining them. Scorpios often see troublesome situations as something that empowers you. And sometimes it's easier for you to see that in other people's lives. But for instance, even with the dying process, that person is moving to a higher state of consciousness. If someone's had major loss in their life, that this has made them stronger inside and they're going to go forward with strength. You can really give that to people when they're in that space. But I think the reverse needs to happen, that you allow people to help you when you're processing things. I think a lot of times Scorpio people think others aren't worthy of hearing it, or Scorpio has their own shame about, again, feeling the pain. But knowing that you too are becoming empowered through your troubles, and to share that journey with others is important. To say, I'm in pain, I'm going through a difficult thing, and this is how I'm growing. That helps other people feel close to you. You intimidate a lot of people, Scorpios, and they sometimes leave you alone because you have such a loud silence around you and you're going through stuff. And just to share the magic of that miraculous growth that you're experiencing is part of intimacy. with others. And again, it's not exposing your weakness and shame and all blah, blah, blah. So let's see, what else would I like to say here? I had starred a few things. That in this other book I was talking about, the Esoteric Astrology, Alice Bailey talks about Scorpio being the sign of illumination, of spiritual illumination, where the soul triumphs. And she says, the astral glamour is dissipated. It's a lot about illusion, a lot about emotions that pull people down. And I think that, again, that's part of your journey, about learning to let your intuition help you overcome deep emotionalism, especially resentment, and help that with others, to feel that the soul is always more powerful than any certain little life experience. The life experiences are designed to impact the soul, but the soul is always having a purpose for experiencing that thing. So the things you experience aren't going to trounce the soul. The soul is always using experiences to grow. And so that's, again, what your sign represents. And letting that soul light pour in on the personality self. So just to recapture some of the things here, just meditation is really going to help Scorpio, and try to make it light. There's a lot of humor for Scorpio too. Developing humor, developing a sense of perspective that you are on a journey with others, even though your own journey is your own, and letting go of the past, letting go of past emotions, and knowing that that got you to one level, and you can just release that stuff and be on your new level, and then reopen your heart. If you have any questions, please contact me, and just know that, Scorpio, you have a lot to share, and please don't hold back sharing with others your power and your light and your perspective on things, and your fierce passion and love of humanity. Let that come forth. So thanks, and I'll see you next time.